she's the one in control of the schedule.
She's the producer, man. She's like produced. We're live on Facebook. Hey Kiwi. Uh, yeah, she just has a knack for timing. I don't know how to explain it. It just works. It works. So
It
that's all
seems
that
like
matters.
you guys have a good partnership going.
Oh yeah,
That's what it
yeah,
sounds like to me.
yeah. There's no doubt.
All
There's
right,
no
let
doubt at
me.
all. Okay, we're on. We got 3 people here, but let me share this. So I tagged you on it, so it should be on your page. You might have to improve it. Let's see.
I
Yeah,
think you can tag me in the like not just in the description, but like
yeah.
where it says Todd is with. It's okay if you can't get
Todd
it
is
there
what?
though. There's a way to tag like me in the main post, so it says that
I
I'm
did.
with you live. Okay.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Okay.
You're not seeing it?
I see it here. I'm just gonna share it on
Okay.
my page.
It should be on there. You might have to approve the tag though. That's the thing. Yeah.
Well, I just went ahead and shared the post.
Yeah. It'll show up twice then. Yeah. You're all right. Yeah, I tagged you on it. It should be right there. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm seeing it.
All right. Let me just pull this up. Yeah. Yeah. You're good. All right. So we got a few people in the house. A few
Hello,
people are here.
hello.
Yeah.
Welcome everybody. Thank you, Todd.
Yeah. Yeah. Short notice. Bryan came on. We've been trying to hook up. I don't know. Hey, let me get back on the. I don't. Dang. Yeah. So I don't know if everybody knows Bryan. What's the name of your group? I always
Ascenders.
Ascenders
Yeah,
Tribe.
yeah,
Ascenders.
that's the Facebook group.
Yeah, Ascenders Tribe. We'll talk about some of that other stuff in a minute. But yeah, I try to share these shows over there just because, if everyone doesn't know Bryan Henry, I'd go to his page. He puts out some quality stuff. I think you're what, 27? 27 years old?
Going to 27, 26 right now.
Oh, you're 26. Jesus, I'm over twice your age, man.
Double the experience of wisdom.
Yeah, we can measure it by the color of our hair. So, but no, I just want everyone to know I really dig your stuff, man. Your stuff is really good. And then a Ascenders Tribe, I pop in every now and then you have a website we'll talk about. But yeah, I was excited that we're doing the show because I really have a lot of respect for what you're doing. And like I've talked before, we're over here in Arkansas. We're working on this network, this platform I've been talking about for a year. But I think your energy and your expressions and everything would be perfect for that type of thing. So, I hope we can collaborate more and more as time goes on.
For sure, brother. And I appreciate it all. I mean, likewise to you. Everything that you've been doing and sharing I've been feeling a lot of resonance with. So I'm honored to be here, to be able to co-create with you. It's always a good time.
Right on. There's True Seeker. True Seeker's in the house.
No way. What's up, brother?
He'd be
I've had him
another.
on my show too.
Yeah, he'd be another one. But I think it's time we generate or originate all these transmissions and broadcasts and channels and shows and personalities, energies and souls from one place. So you got to speak what you seek, right? Speak that shift into existence.
There you go. Yeah, the power in us coming together. I mean, even just this, but I can only imagine as we do it more and more and in closer interactions and larger numbers, it's that's the shift right there.
Right on. We talked a lot because I was on your show, you were on my show, and we tried to do some other shows, but we never did. We talked about even having you and your partner on. You got a lot of stuff in, I think, if I remember correctly, you guys met like at 19, something like that?
Yeah, 18, 19.
Yeah, and you guys have gone through this whole trip together, and which is fascinating in and of itself. But you've got your own stuff you talked about before. Where you now? You have a website, and I'm gonna copy and paste. I'm gonna copy and paste that right now. But you're the founder of Together We Ascend, an initiative and community that is committed to serving the ascension of the collective consciousness. You're also the creator of the Ascend Academy, which unites and assists individuals along the path of higher consciousness, self-mastery, and personal transformation. So this is all the same frequencies as we have here. And then you do one-on-one activation sessions, and you have a 6-week online course, the activation process to help individuals activate alignment and flow with and in their higher purpose. So this, all this stuff that you're doing, how much of it came from, and there's no right or wrong answer, but like how much of it came from just your own personal research and studying and being a student, courses, certifications, whatever, and how much of it came from just direct mainline infinite intelligence?
That's a good question. It's hard to say what came from where. I think I've definitely been supported in, going out there and learning from others.
Yeah.
But I think most truly is the integration of what it is that I've learned that has been, is what I really think carries over in what I share and I speak to. Meaning, I think what I have to share is only as powerful as the energy behind it. Yeah. And so it's, again, hard to say what came from learning from others and what came from just insight. But I definitely think it's the integration of something, of a frequency, of an energy, of a teaching that lets me actually share that in a way that might be able to support another person.
Yeah. So and I totally get what you're saying. How did you know that you were to be fulfilling the role that you're doing and creating and expanding every day with these initiatives? And really, as and I know the labels aren't cool, but you are. One thing I got to say, for anybody who puts it out there and takes on the role or the position of a teacher or leader or communicator or however you want to describe it. I mean, that takes a lot of guts, and I've always said this, even if I don't resonate with somebody, I admire the hell out of them for getting out there and do that. But how did you come to terms with that? When did you realize this was going to be the focal point of your efforts?
Sure. Well, I think it's a combination of two things. One, there wasn't just, a wake up moment where I said, this is who I'm going to be, this is what I'm going to do. It is, and I think it'll always continue to be a process of unfolding into who I am and what I'm here to do. So it's definitely been a process to become more and more authentic in what I'm expressing, what I'm sharing, a lot more aligned in being my true self, which is certainly an expression of myself that doesn't let something like fear or insecurity hold me back. Yeah. So again, that's a process, and I've been fortunate enough to walk a path and be given opportunities to support people and work with people. It started as a personal trainer in the gym, and that definitely has played into feeling more confident in who I am and what I have to offer. Now, the other thing that I think is just core to everything that is to what I do, and whatever it is I do, is I've made a commitment to alignment and surrendering to my higher purpose. Yeah. That's the only commitment that I make, and everything else, is just means to ensuring that I stay in alignment with the way in which the divine source, my higher self, whatever you want to call it, wishes to manifest through me.
Yeah.
So I do my very best at all times to just, stay in the flow of that, stay in alignment with that. And when I feel called to do something, and I feel like that's the highest expression of me, what that looks like, I'm gonna do my best to let that through, and whatever that looks like in this moment is going to be what I strive to express. So
Yeah.
that's the only commitment. And what I'm doing today isn't about anything more than being of the highest service and the highest expression of me that I could be, because that's the choice I made.
Right on. Right on. Couple things. One, you mentioned the word surrender. And of course, Morgan and I talk about it, or I talk about it because she's not on camera much, but we connect every night when we go to bed. We put our hands together and then we see what happens, And last night was pretty intense. We stayed up late watching videos, we're doing our own thing. And then we just didn't even say much really. There was a little bit said, but the big word that was coming in for me, and I was seeing visuals in the room. I wasn't really seeing anything that I could make out, but there was this huge waves of energies moving around. I did see a couple things, but what I kept getting was surrender. I kept getting, which had come up 2 or 3 days ago. Do you surrender? Now, this we've heard many, many times. All of us have, but there seemed to be going to a different level, and it felt like a level of pure nothingness, And I was like, wow, this is trippy, Like I feel like I'm nothing, I feel like there's nothing here, and yeah. So when you bring that word up, I think it's kind of taken on a new meaning. The other thing that happened that I just realized a second ago, every now and then when I'm going to do a show, I'll feel energy come in. And I was watching some NWA videos and just some different stuff, just to keep my mind occupied for about 20 minutes. Got something to eat, and I felt this energy coming. I thought, what the hell's going on, man? Like my whole body starts shaking. I get this electrical impulses in all my joints, and I get a little bit like the vision starts to get like that. And I actually think it has something to do. You talked about the higher selves, they're actually coming together before the human aspects connect online, So I've always felt like that we have a pretty strong connection, and maybe that's got something to do with it as well. Now you're still doing your talk show, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's been on a little bit of a hiatus. Haven't had one for a little while.
I've been there.
Just hasn't been in the flow. Really?
Yeah, I've
From
been
all
there.
people, the guy that's doing like 5 a day.
No, this was a while back, but I mean, I've been there. There were times when, yeah, because I mean, this has been going on for 8 years. Now the videos didn't start till 2015, but yeah, there were times I was just like, I remember when I hit 400, I was just like, I'm done. This was before I did talk shows. It was like spirit walks, mostly spirit walks, and then some stuff in the studio with music. But I remember I just hit the wall, man, and I was like, I'm done. For about a month, I didn't do anything. But no, I get that. But you're really good at what you do, and I know you're not one-dimensional. And I think that in time that'll probably reemerge if that's what's meant to be. I like what you said about staying in alignment with this higher communication and higher purpose. And I think that's what it's all about,
You have to honor that, right? And sometimes that might contradict what you may have had thought was the plan or the vision. And I think if you stay in tune and you honor that, that's when the highest and the greatest is going to unfold. So sometimes you gotta just respect and honor what's feeling right in this moment. And if that means taking a break, slowing down, speeding up, doing something, not doing something, that's, like I said, I think alignment and is the thing, the one and only thing there is to make a commitment to. That's
and it's a moving target, isn't it? And you make a really good point. I was working on a post yesterday, and I don't write as much as I used to, but I had this badass post I put up. I mean, I had it on my computer, and I lost it. And what it was talking about was really about unity, consciousness, and separation, but from the personal level, in that we can't attach, or well, we can do whatever, but I'm just saying that it is actually an expansive move to detach from these things that we hold most dear. And I don't mean hold most dear like we're stubborn and we don't want to let go, but like we get this info in. You got your initiatives in with the initiatives that you have that we just talked about earlier. I have to say mine's Soulogy. And you start to say, okay, this is my mission. I get up every day. This is what I'm supposed to do, right? Even that has to go. Even that has to be surrendered. And that's very important, because it's no different than getting attached to, well, I communicate with Kuan Yin, or I communicate with the Arcturians. I channel this, I download that. I had this past life. It's no different than your past traumas. But what I find more peculiar about this is that this intel that's been coming in for us and for me too has been let go of everything. Every single thing. You wake up tomorrow, there is no Soulogy. Are you prepared for that? Yeah, I surrender. Yes, please. So you bring up a
Yeah,
good point.
that's interesting to say. I think what's coming to me is that you have to be as clear as possible. The more cleared out you are from those attachments, the more naturally the divine is going to emerge from you. And we have all these great intentions, right? The things that we're working on, the ways that we set out to serve and help people. But like you said, I think even being attached to that can kind of obstruct the flow. And that's one thing that I've definitely been learning this year. Even some of my great intentions can come with their attachments. And
Yeah.
I think similar to you, it's like that.
Yeah.
It's that clearing out process.
Well, there's been many times that we'll be laying in bed, and well, you, me, we, and it will come to us and say, are you ready to expand again? Are you willing to give up anything and everything? And of course, we're like, yeah. And they'll be like, are you willing to give up her? Are you willing to give up him? Are you willing to give up this relationship? And we say yes. And it's crazy, because at some level, we know we're going to be together. And like at some level, I know I'm going to be a part of the energy of Soulogy. But you still have to surrender to it and let it go. And every time it happens, there's an expansion. But when you surrender, there is no guarantee. So it's a really kind of weird cosmic catch-22. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it can't be for a particular reason other than just that. Or to simplify it. I mean, one thing that has been coming through to me as well is that the only freedom to be found is in surrender. So
that's it.
The stuff that you're describing, being able to face that notion of letting go of some of these things that you hold so dear to you, such as the ones you care about and love.
Yeah.
If we wish to expand into let's just say a fuller and higher and truer expression, then it means letting go of all that is temporal.
Yeah. Yeah. And I got one, I think about 3 or 4 nights ago. We had some pretty powerful stuff moving around us. And I was standing outside, and I heard that you're going to lose everything. To get where you want to go, you have to lose everything, and to a point where there is nothing. But then it came in with the second part of the explanation and said, you're not really losing anything. You're actually, by doing that, gaining everything. And I was like, whoa, I don't even totally get what that says, but I know that that was like some type of alignment. My soul got it. My human aspect is still trying to figure out exactly what that means, which is another thing I'm letting go of, on a personal level, is I don't have to understand everything. If I know the activation's coming in, and I just say thank you, and I don't have to know. I guess
Yeah.
when the time comes, I'll know.
I heard nothing to lose, everything to gain.
Yeah, that's
But
right.
you got to be willing to bring yourself to a space where you feel like you have nothing to lose.
Yeah, which is so many, not so much from your age group, but the people that are, you know, the 30, well, probably like 35 to 65s, the ones that went through a lot of successive traumas, they were put in a spot, just like I was put in a spot, you know, 8 years ago, and it was there. You have nothing else to lose. There was nothing else. I call it the universal isolation. It's a great place to think and learn and expand, and it's not always easy. But yeah, I think that's a great way to put it. You know, what do we have to lose? What do we have to lose?
Only what we cling on to, and
Yeah,
all that's false.
the only thing we have to lose is what we don't even have.
Um,
The only thing we have is
that's the realization right there.
right.
We don't. None of it belongs to us.
I know. That's why the copyright, trademarks, contracts, and all that stuff. I'm trying my best. Now, none of that really applies to me at this point, but there are things to do in this quote unquote matrix. And I'm doing my best to disengage from them and and clear out the quote unquote risk of not conforming to the matrix. And I won't name anything because I don't want to give it power. But things that we, and I think this is another spin on what's happening, or another level up on what's happening now as we go into 2020, is that the only thing that's keeping us from transforming the external, the internal, whatever, the experience itself, is the fact that we're still attached to these things that, oh, well, we're only human. Oh, well, we're still human. Oh, well, you got to pay taxes. Oh, well, you got to go, you know, sign this document. Really? I mean, really? Is that how we ascend, by clinging to these, you know, these rules and regulations and lawless laws and all that stuff? I mean, we can actually do this, I think, if, you know, one starts to do it and the 100th monkey thing takes effect. And I think actually some of this is happening.
And it's walking into that fear, I think, because that's the thing that's keeping us from letting it go, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
A
true.
lot of fear is going to be triggered in what you're saying, right? Like if trying, like setting out to release that, shed that, move beyond that, it's gonna definitely, inevitably, just trigger and surface a ton of fear.
Yeah.
That's what keeps us binded to it. So that's the process, right? Like releasing that fear as it comes up, for no other reason but freedom, ultimately.
Yeah.
No.
Well, that's another thing too, is that that's the big word, freedom.
That's yeah.
I was looking up, because I'd gotten this thing that happened to me like 3 days ago on this powerful night I was talking about. We had a lot of powerful stuff happen. And when I was standing outside, I started getting this stuff about, and I don't even have it all down right, but it was like particularly about sixth dimension. It was about how, so there was just some stuff involved explaining to me, I would say the third, fourth, fifth, sixth dimension, maybe seventh dimension. I can't remember everything, but I didn't really understand it all. So I went to Google, and I Googled sixth dimension, and this figure came up, and it was obviously a sixth dimensional figure, you know, geometric figure. But what was interesting to me about it was the way that the guy was describing it. And he said, this is basically a six-sided or six-dimensional figure that in every direction it runs freely. And I thought, wow, that's trippy. Now, I don't even know if I could find that again, but it made sense to me. That's the big word. You know, the big word is freedom. Love is free. Energy is free. Souls are free. And we've got this, you know, these prisons or constrictions or matrices or whatever you want to call it, that are really nothing more than a thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
So where do you go when you think of like accessing that, unlocking that? I mean, I know a lot of everything that we speak to actually points to that, but cultivating that sense of freedom within yourself.
I
What's
think
that
it's,
journey been like?
well, I think it's like, you know what? I tried to rewrite that piece this morning, and I'll show you where I'm at with it. Another one that came out, but it's exactly what you're talking about. Here, I'll just read it to you, then we'll talk about it.
Please.
Let's see. You know, when I do write something, I let it sit up here for a long time because I try to decide whether I'm going to put it out. You know, the human stuff.
Get it
Gets
out
it.
there, brother. Get it
So,
out.
so
If it's been written, it's meant to
right,
be seen.
exactly. So, okay, so I wrote this one. It's called "Keeping It Real." Now things are getting real, and the more real we are, the more real it gets. It's not about channeling info. It's not about downloading data. It's not about communing with galactics, angelics, and ascendants. We came here to be human, to embody all these things and apply them to living, to transforming ourselves, and by virtue of that, the world and the universes. We are universal soldiers, alchemical magicians. Now, we have enough information, validation, confirmation to know this shift is the real deal. Let's make this shift happen, not to become, but to be divine human hybrid beings, merging the physical and non-physical, dark and light, day and night, wrong and right, and show the universal families how we got this, how we get shift done, you know, play on the words. But to me, to answer your question, and there are no coincidences, right? To me, that freedom is best expressed right here, right now.
Mm.
And all the other stuff is great. And finding this guy's definition of six-dimensional space was great. But I'm Todd Medina, you're Bryan, and we are human hybrid, divine, eternal souls. And we actually have access, to your point, to all that stuff, and we can bring it into play here right now. We don't have to wait for a month.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have to wait for Nasara or Trump or Q or golden beings coming out of spaceships. We don't have to wait for anything. We can actually do this right now, and I think that's the point.
You know,
There's no waiting because, like you said, there's nothing to lose. What are you really going to lose?
I feel like another big message that comes through here is that, I think there's this idea that we're looking or we're to transcend and shed and dissolve, and yeah, that those words, they have their place. I use them, but rather than like considering it as transcending something, another way of looking at it that I feel like can be very powerful is we're becoming more of it. We're expanding. We're becoming a greater, more expansive expression. So it's, again, I know it can feel like these are two things are at odds, contradictory. We're talking about letting go, and we don't have anything to lose. But then I think on another plane of thought, it's becoming a greater, more expansive expression of our divinity and what we are. So I feel like we need to honor both sides of that paradox.
Yeah.
The mind's not going to want to say that both can be true, but when I feel into it, I know that it's bringing both those together.
Yeah, I agree, and I think that's why it is so paradoxical, is because with everything that we've have access to in our individual journeys, whether it be in dimension or in the physical, researching or whatever, everything points to everything moves slow here. We're the low energy on the totem pole. We're the furthest away from the light or the one, and it makes perfect universal paradoxical sense that what you're seeking is the closest thing to you. And how much closer can you get than what you are yourself? So
Mm-hmm.
I agree with what you're saying, and that's really really along the lines of what I was saying before you said that, which is, you know, what better place to you know, embody or actualize or utilize all this stuff we have access to than right here, right now. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it's mind blowing. It's, you know, some of these people that have come on this show will channel, you know, or download sometimes galactic or other celestial bodies or whatever. And there's been quite a few times where they'll say the human, you guys don't realize how freaking amazing and powerful you are actually are. Like
As a human.
everybody knows it in the universal family, but us.
Mm-hmm.
But we're finding it out now.
Mm-hmm.
We're finding it
There's,
out.
I think there's too much. I see a little bit too much of the, like you're describing, feeling like there's somewhere better to be, something better to be, um, and that's just holding us back from expressing everything that we are and can be and are already, if we allow through that. So I remember you said something actually on my show that stuck with me. I don't know how you phrased it exactly, but you ultimately said like the power is in the human.
Yeah.
So I love that. I love the message of, you know, bringing that into this now, opposed to this idea that there's somewhere that we're heading
Yeah.
towards.
Yeah.
There's some sort of, even when we talk about a new earth, for example, we talk about, you know, co-creating a new earth, and it's a beautiful, beautiful intention, but we put it off into the future, and we put that place and that person that we want to be off into the future, rather than realizing that it's all right here, right now.
Right on.
So rather than thinking that there's something better out there, I think the power is in seeing the bigness of all that already is.
Yeah. And then to be part of this team that's coming into their own awareness and actually, well, the human is the hero, you know, because
There
at
it
the,
is. That was the
because,
line. The
well, you
human
know,
is the
because it,
hero.
yeah, well, because at the end of the day, the human has to make the choice. You know, you can pull in all the stuff you want to, but at the end of the day, the human has to make the choice. And that's just me and the universe. That the universe knows and I know. If I'm shortcutting or I'm bullshitting myself or I'm putting up a mask or you know, I know the truth. The universe knows the truth. That is me, you know. The universe and the universe are the same thing. So I think that's what's so amazing, and the potential is nothing we can fathom, because you know, it's like the ultimate alchemy. You're taking a biological Merkabah and taking in its essence, this God substance that is comprised of, and alchemizing it. You know, it's like creating a universe. You're alchemizing from the center of the universe, which you are. And that was the other thing that came in 2-3 nights ago. Before that stuff happened with Morgan and I, as I stood out there, the first thing that happened, I started hearing 3 times. I heard this: "You are now a light body. You are." I don't know if it meant 100% light body or majority light body, but it said you are a light body. And I was like, "Well, what does that mean?" And then I heard that means that you understand that you're pure energy, and that everything you're looking at is pure energy, and that you can work with any of it and actually, you know, alchemize it, transform it, create, you know. And I was like, whoa, that's huge. And
I
again, I
love
still
that.
don't get it all, but if I'm hearing it, there's other people hearing it. You know, as the individual goes, so goes the collective.
There you go. Yeah, I think there's a ton of power, and I just want to say thank you for, you know, sharing the way that you do, because it helps me even to just reconnect to how powerful we really are. So I think that's ultimately the greatest thing that we can do in ourselves, and then for others as well, helping them to remember that. So
Yeah.
it's an incredible feeling shift that we endure when we start to open up to that infiniteness,
Yeah.
that notion of infiniteness. We are beyond powerful, and yeah, we're gonna maybe run into some stories that keep us from feeling that way, but hang on to that
Yeah.
knowing and keep coming back to that, regardless of where you may be. You can keep coming back to that
and stay open. You know, I mean, I read a post this morning by, and he's a friend of mine. You know, everybody's a friend of mine, but Rick Jewers. We've done a lot of collaborations. I don't always agree with everything he says, and we've spoken openly about that. But we're brothers and we collaborate. One of the things that I have had an issue, and it might have been altered today, was this talk about a financial reset, Nasara and abundance packages that everybody receives. And I'm like, that's some pie in the sky, blue suede BS. Like, come on, man. That's almost like disempowering, to tell people this is coming, like Santa Claus is coming, Jesus is coming, whatever. But today he wrote a post, and I can't recall it all. And he just said pretty much the same thing that we just talked about. He said, the time is now. Don't wait for anything. And then he went on to list these different things. And one of them was the reset, the RV, the reset, and Nasara. And he said, don't think it can't happen or anything can't happen. Because the fact that you think it can't happen will keep it from happening, which is no different than what you're saying about New Earth is out there or in front of us. New Todd is in front of me. What's the difference? I'm still not bringing it into the present moment. So not to say that these things will or won't happen, but the point being to remain or to expand, really, is what I learned this morning. I'm pretty open. I think, well, I'm open to anything. And then I see my resistance in reading my brother's post. And I thought, oh, wait a minute, you can actually expand your openness,
Yeah, I don't think that we can ever be too open.
Yeah.
And just when we thought we were open enough, we'd find a little bit of resistance to clear out as well. So definitely, I think openness, it's openness, receptivity, right? Yeah. Surrender, allowing, it all comes together. And that's the other thing I want to mention is like, that's a energetic shift, right? You don't need to, that's more even just presence and coming back to, again, the now. That's where you shift into that. So it's not necessarily, I just want to make mention that it's not necessarily something you need to think too hard and long about. How open am I, as much as it is about like relaxing into. That's what I've been really focused on practicing these days. It's relaxing into the energetic shifts that you feel when you let more light through you. You can feel yourself receive more energy and all the other things that come with that when you practice that energetic shift.
Yeah, Morgan said for years that the first step to transformation is awareness. And one of the things I've noticed this year has been, and maybe it's just in myself, but the moment I become aware of something, it's almost like it's I'm not saying that it is, and I'm saying it is, but it's almost like the transformation occurs then. Like just what I described about Rick this morning and what you just explained. It's almost like energetically it occurs when you go, oh, I just didn't know. Now I know. Boom. It's done. Yeah.
It's becoming aware of that shift.
Yeah. Yeah. Becoming aware that you didn't know something.
Yeah.
Right. Or that you weren't aware of something. And then you go, oh, now I'm aware. Well, it's a no-brainer. You don't have to sit there and go, okay, do I want to expand from this, or do I want to stay where I was? I mean, we're actually at a point now where information is moving so fast, expansion is moving more rapidly, that the whole analyzation of it is fading away. It's just kind of happening on a quantum level. Now, there's a lot of talk about masculine, feminine, right? And you're in a unique situation, I think. We're excited over the last couple of 2-3 weeks to have several 20-somethings on that have just been mind-blowing, Nice. But you're actually with your partner 7, 8, 9 years from the age of 19 and navigating this thing we call ascension. I mean, what's the impact been on you having an incarnated divine feminine, your divine feminine incarnated, walking hand in hand with you. How has that affected you in
I
any
love
ways?
that.
Yeah.
I love that question. It's super interesting actually because I I use that relationship and connection I have with her as kind of an anchor, and almost like it's the centerpiece, the core. Comes like this. The integration, everything I seek to do, everything in the name of unity, love, unity consciousness, raising the vibration. Um, None of that is going to take an effect. None of that really at the center of that all. It's almost like it's my relationship with her,
Yeah.
and that it's playing out on so many different levels, right? Within myself,
Yeah.
in my relationship with her, my relationship with those around me, the world. It's happening at each of those levels, but it's been super powerful for us, I think, to use our relationship as kind of a core centerpiece, um, to support us in that growth and ascension.
Yeah.
So I'll give you an example of how this kind of plays out. Sometimes I lose sight of that, right? And when I set out to do the mission work, I get distracted from that. What ultimately matters is that connection, right? That sense of love and connection. And if I notice that start to slip in our relationship, then it's almost like everything else that I'm doing on the surface isn't. It starts to feel less purposeful. I feel less connected to it, less purposeful.
Yeah.
So I think another thing that just kind of comes up is like, and I think you actually invoked this in me. I saw a post that you shared, and it was the image that said, "You want to get your DNA activated? Love more."
Yeah.
Right. So where I'm going with this is that it's really as simple as simplifying it to that. And if we aren't able to show, express, be love in and of ourselves, but then of course again with the people close to us, then what are we really doing? Yeah. So having her be that sort of mirror for me, that reflection, having our relationship as perhaps the closest thing to me that supports me in raising my frequency, in becoming more loving. Yeah. That's been so important for us in our journey.
Yeah. No, I can relate to that. It's like that's the core of everything, and it's I get what you're saying because you almost don't want to explain it that way because it sounds like that. Well, the way that, for instance, the words twin flames have been used and the whole fantasy part of it and the fluffy love and light stuff. But I get what you're saying because that part of my life, that mirror that is actually me, and this whole dance is actually it actually dictates everything. And like you said, I've been doing pretty good. I haven't done it in a while, but when I would get off track, and get caught up in like a tunnel vision with Soulogy, I'm going to do this, and then that just pulls me back. She'll just pull me back, like that has to be in a no charge, the positive, negative, the no charge zone, the 0 point. When that's happening.
Talk to me about that. I like how you put that, but I feel like I can deepen into that a little bit. What the 0 point, the no charge space? Describe to me what you mean by that.
Well, I mean, I was talking about the two people, but we could be talking about polarities. Morgan is a energy practitioner. She's a shadow eater, and that's her role. Like you have your role, I have my role. And so I've learned, working with her, the value of hitting that that no charge 0 point, which as an example, and I always use this example because it's easiest. You know, a lot of us are empaths. We would call ourselves empaths. A lot of us, the older ones especially, were in empathic narcissistic relationships where we were overgiving, and they were taking. Now there's no way in hell that I would have said I am, you know, I can relate to the narcissist, or I'm like that person. I can relate to the fact that I'm this polarity, the empath, the big heart and the overgiver, but I can't relate to that other person. The whole point is if we identify with one polarity and we don't deal with the other polarity, we're still going to be carrying that in our field, which is demonstrated by people that don't deal with things, any of us, and I'm included, and we have these loops that keep coming back over and over and over and over again until, you know, essentially we accept it as part of ourselves. You know, there's a lot of good examples for that, but, and I'm not really the one to explain it, she would be, but when you're in that space, to me, that is the universal, you know, that's like the mother's womb. That 0 point is a point of no static, no imbalances in magnetism or electricity. Everything is in this beautiful universal cauldron where we can create now, you know. And I think that's another thing to mention too, because when you have the two polarities come together and they're in that 0 point state, and say in this case it's these two individuals, they create a third energy. That third, you and your partner have created a third energy. It's there, whether it's physical, whether it's non-physical, or both, it's there. And I don't know, I don't have that science down, but to me, that's what the 0 point is, no charge, you know, place, and what its potential is. Yeah.
It's interesting. Definitely finding myself feel into that. And I guess perhaps maybe tell me if these couple words line up with what you're saying. It's a stability, right? Like a sense of stability. I think you might have used balance. I think using the relationship as a kind of tool, almost. That's not the best word for it, but as a weight. Go ahead. Do you have something there?
No, I was going to say maybe it's like a unit, like a barometer, like a what do you call it? Thermometer, a barometer.
Let's go with that.
A measuring gauge. Device. Yeah, that's what I was trying to say earlier, and that's what I was getting at for you, is everything stems from that. So if that's not good, I'm not saying that everything will go to shit, but if I don't get back into that space with, in this case, this example, with her, and become present and whole, everything will start to get distorted and skewed.
Right, because it's all tied together. It's all ultimately one. I guess the relationship's a great way to use to look towards, to kind of again gauge and feel into where that state of unity and balance really lies. So because it's so close to you and this person's so close to you, it becomes a very, very powerful place to recognize that. So I think we can both relate in that sense, and I guess we're both two lucky guys, huh?
Yeah, but the science of it goes beyond. I think there's something to be said in this duality that's transforming, where you have physical incarnations and physical matter, that the physical feminine and the physical masculine, are almost like the core physical representation of that energy. But in the science of it, it's any polarity. So every time we bring polarities to a 0 point, whether it be a relationship or a moment in time in a relationship or an event or a trauma or whatever, something incredible is happening. I think that might be that space where creation then expands itself. I'll give you another example, like a human example. So we were separated off and on because she lived in another country, or we lived in different countries, and I was traveling around, and I didn't have a lot of resources, and I still, I'm not saying I do now, but it was a lot tougher. So I was a little bit at the mercy of people's generosity. Some of those people had agendas. Some of those were women, and some of them wanted something from me that I wasn't going to give. You know what I mean? So I got really upset one night a couple of years ago, and I called her on the phone. I said, "Man, these women are coming on to me. I've told them I'm with you. I don't understand what the problem is." And she says, "It's still active in your field."
Oh.
Okay. So I've identified with, and I've identified with the end of the spectrum where I'm not interested. I'm in a monogamous relationship. Let's put it that way. But I hadn't identified and owned the other end of the spectrum. So that was still active in my field. We're made up of every aspect of dark, every aspect of light, right? Every single bit of it lives in us. I carry the Hitler frequency. I carry the Gandhi frequency. Our job here, to me, is has always been, to me, to merge the physical and the non-physical in all polarities.
So let me see if I'm getting this right, because I think I am, but I just want to confirm. If we're identified with one polarity, it's that we're still carrying the other polarity in our field.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, exactly. That's why, and even as I got into learning more about this with her a few weeks ago, maybe three months ago, I started looking at Carl Jung's work. On YouTube, I would just read stuff and then listen to some of his stuff. And one of the things that he said, which was a metaphoric statement, he said, "You will never find yourself until you own the beast." And that's kind of, if I think about my own life and the things I had to put to bed, the things that I resisted were the things that I was ashamed of, the things that I wasn't good enough for. All these things that we don't want to associate ourselves with, are actually the gold. It's not what we know we are, it's what we don't want to admit we are, or we don't want to admit we could be. I think that anyone potentially could do anything under the right circumstances. Now, maybe that's changed with the energies over the last couple of years, but you get what I'm saying. We are, oneness is oneness. There is no separation, whether you're talking about two people, Bryan and Todd, or you're talking about Hitler and Gandhi, or you're talking about dark and light. It's oneness is oneness. There is no in between. And I think that's part of the human is the hero journey too. Is we're actually doing this in a very thick cosmic jungle, and very dense. Because you got to remember, we have to get past. How could God let this happen? How could people be starving? How could these people be abusing children? All that stuff. It's that layer at the gut level that's illusion, but does carry an energetic message, that is for us to integrate and to bring into balance.
I love the use of the word integrate. I think that's the one that's ringing within me, integrating that shadow. And another way I like to put it is the gift emerges through the shadow. So that's where we start to honor and recognize the importance of integrating that, embracing it. So it gets thrown around, I think, the talk of embracing your shadows and whatnot, but without that added understanding that it's all one. Ultimately, the gift and the shadow are one. That's when you can really start to hone in on integrating and embracing that. These are all things that I've given some thought and you know, they're familiar concepts and whatnot, but I gotta say, like, just feeling a greater sense of awareness and clarity around speaking about them with you. So that's great to feel.
And, well, you know, and Candace Cohen, who was on here a couple of days ago, she's amazing. She's over in Canada with you. She just put it's a neutral space. So if you think about anything that you're going to create or anything that you're intending, the more neutral you are, the more pure it's going to be, right? Or the more objective you are, you know what I mean? The more open you are, the more neutral you are, the more the closer to perfection it's going to be. If you're too positive or too negative, then it's going to be slanted. So I guess that would be another way to talk about what I call the soul highway, or the 0 point. You know, is you're in a space where there is a, you know, obviously there's movement because it's energy, but it's somewhat stable. You used that word a minute ago, stable. And then you create from that space.
Because you have more control over the energy at that point.
Yeah. You're. It's like I'll give you another one. This is semi-personal, but in my journey with my divine feminine, incarnated divine feminine, there are things that I just did not get because I would assume it doesn't matter, because of where the journey of the masculine, or the journey of the distorted masculine, whatever you want to call it, the wounded masculine. Just certain things, you know, women are from Venus, men are from Mars, right? I mean, it's just whatever you want to. And I remember telling her one time, I have, why can't I tell you things the way you tell me things? Well, when she would tell me things, it would be somewhat neutral, right? Kind of balanced. Now, if I could get past the shadow, I could see it, and eventually I did, but I couldn't do it. I would say, da 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 da. And then the reaction wouldn't be, and I'd be like, well, why can you do it and I can't? She said, well, I don't have a problem with you saying anything to me, but say it in a balanced state. Now that's a totally different deal. So if you think about that as a microcosm, it's still the same equation. You know, a positive and negative, you get into the neutral space and you make a creation. If that creation is to convey a communication to my partner, or if that creation, that neutral space is going to be the creative seed or chamber for Soulogy network, you know, whatever it is, it's about you know, that what you asked about, which I guess as we discuss it, we get expand. It's a neutral space. Thank you, Candace. It's a neutral space where you can then push the energy forward, the energy of creation, whatever, because it is moving and it is going to happen, and you're in, and it's going to produce a balanced stream, or you know, whatever you call it.
You know, that's some powerful stuff. It just circles around the importance of, you know, stepping into that balance, that flow, and creating from that place. That's why it's always talked about that, you know, it's first figuring out that state of being before we can really step into manifesting, right? Because the other thing too is that which you set out to manifest ends up being distorted.
That's right.
If you're not first coming into that.
And I think that's the other thing that brings up too is, you know, we didn't come here just to wake up. Waking up was just part of it. Waking up was you know, what it is. But now that we know,
what are you gonna do with that?
Yeah, what are you going to do with it? So with that awareness of waking up and becoming aware that you are the creator, or at minimum a co-creator, however you want to break it down, there's a responsibility. And that responsibility is met by being in that neutral state when you have the power of creation in your hands, because you do. So we all know that we ran around here for years and years and years unconscious of the fact that we were creating the whole damn thing. So now we're conscious of who we are, And with that comes a responsibility. And that responsibility is met by finding that neutral zone, because we're creating all the time. You don't choose when you want to create,
We're always
right. You're always creating. Constantly creating. It's just the way it works. We're made in the image.
yeah. Owning up to that responsibility and power, and expressing it in the highest way. That's what we're here to do.
Right on. Do you have your shows and your videos? Now you do videos like I used to do, or I still do a little bit. You do like spirit walks. I mean, you'll just start talking, right?
I love that name, Spirit Walks.
Yeah. That's what it is. It's a spirit walk.
You're saying that, and I'm realizing how it feels like I need to create the space to do that a little bit more often. I've been away from it, and for good reason. I've been coming into a place of stillness, so everything kind of needed to stop for a moment. But now things I can feel a lot more of the inspired, the genuine inspiration start to flow. So definitely it's something I love to do, the video stuff, even just the podcast and whatnot. But I do have my YouTube channel and whatnot, and I find that you can tell me if you can relate the joy of just being in that moment of expressing, when you just kind of open it up and let it take over. That I've never had. There's nothing like it for me. Coming into a state where it's almost like you're not even there anymore, but you're totally there, and
it's true.
You're listening to it as it's almost like you get a chance to watch yourself be expressed. So I've found that can occur for me in writing sometimes. Writing and definitely in the videos too, but it's been a while since I've done it on recording. I need to go catch myself a spirit walk.
Well, and it's funny because and I agree with you. There is something about it. There's something about it that I think what it is, I think first of all, I think that the frequency of just being raw and being real, no matter what you're talking about, no matter if you're shadowed and you're bitching and moaning, or you're pulling down, a pure message from Jesus, if you're just actually, because eyes are the mirror of the eyes are the mirror of the soul, right? I mean, people can see. It's a frequency. It's more than a visual. It's more than a tonality. So, but I think on a personal level, it does give some type of at least back then, a unique gratification, but not like, oh my God, look at me. Not an egoic thing, but more like, what, I had the balls to do that. I see some of these videos from 2015 and 2016, when I was in the studio, no shirt on, hungover, beard, haven't shaved, and just would wake up and say, let's go. Boom. There's something about the power of the spontaneous and doing it live. You don't have a choice. You just jump in with both feet, and there's something about that.
It's just getting out of your own way, right? And that's what I think we love the live thing too, right? Because there's no time to reconsider that what you said is something you didn't want to say. You're just moving forward. So I think there's a message there that goes beyond just recording videos, and it's just let go.
Yeah, it is a combination of frequencies that create a vibration that is in part physical, lower senses, the five senses. It is a fusion of the physical and the non-physical that you can actually see, and it carries a lot of power. That's why I think the throat chakra is such a huge factor now, and in this realm and in this experience, because it provides another element that wasn't there before, which is the context of the words, the tonality. There's just something about that blue chakra that adds to our vibration. So I say it over and over again. You know, grab your phone, turn it on live, and just start talking. Because the more people that do that, the more people will do that. And it's no different than what I said a minute ago. You know, I wrote this post. I don't do very many anymore, and I had it on my thing, and I let it sit there. And you said, put it out, put it out, put it out. And that's really what it's all about. It really is.
And do you find that? Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Say, don't you find that when you're allowing for that to unfold, that the frequency and the state of being that you embody, even long after the record button's even pressed, I feel like personally, I want to know if you can relate. When I'm in that flow and I'm again not worried about what the hair looks like, not worried about what we're wearing, and we're just putting it out there, letting it happen, honoring that inspiration. There's this really, really powerful, amazing feeling, state of being where you just feel more free and light.
Yeah, exactly. And I think there's been enough of it going on too that for these last few years that we're starting to see that it actually has some traction. And then you are starting to see more people do it. You know, you're seeing more and more people do it because you know, I don't know about how it was when you started, but this is how it was for me and many people I've talked to. You would put something out, and the idea is if I could just affect one person, and then there's that one person, right? You know, I mean, there's that, and it's just, and I know it was for us, ourselves, you know, but yeah, it's a good feeling. It's a really good feeling, and the other thing I like about it too is it totally is separate from let me show you how to do it. Let me tell you how it is. It's not like that. It's not instructive, you know, and it's not you know what I mean? It's just, I'm being Bryan. I'm being Todd. This is what I got. That's what a spirit walk was. When I started it, I spent 2 years walking the street on a spirit walk. And I was talking to the universe the whole time. So I thought one day, well, I'll just flip on the camera and I'll do what I do anyway. Right. And I see more and more people do it. And I think it's awesome.
Yeah, I definitely encourage people to do that too. It just means we're being more, I think, authentic and expressive of what's wants to come through. And yeah, to the point that you just mentioned, it's not so much even about, you know, creating something on the other end. It's not about changing anything, and it is being done in alignment with service and serving others. But in the midst of that experience, you're not getting caught up with changing anything. You're not getting caught up with changing anybody. It's more about, you can't even really describe the why behind it. It's just this, it's the most natural feeling thing you can do almost to express yourself. And I think a lot of people hold themselves back and kind of shut that down because of, you know, the narrative. But once you start to kind of open up, like you mentioned, the throat chakra, and that starts to pour, it's the energy that you start to feel that it's primary importance to the experience.
Yeah, I like the way you said that, because there is a service to others. You know, this is my mission, da, 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 da. And you see that type of expression, and that's fine. That's great. It is. It's necessary. What you're talking about is a transmission where there's no agenda. You're just a transmission of saying, it's no different than me picking up the phone and calling you and having a conversation, you know, as two open, you know, no agenda frequencies just coming together and saying, hello, how are you? Who are you? What's going on? And, you know, it's no different than that. You know, there's something about people just laying it out there that is seems so simple and so irrelevant, but it's actually the opposite. It's you know, what's up is down and what's round is square, and there's a paradox again.
Yeah. Well, I think one of the things that it does when you mention it like that, something people are just throwing out there, is it invites other people into a similar space.
Yeah.
So in being authentic and expressive, we are creating space and encouraging others to do the same. And I think that's ultimately one of the greatest things that you can do, encourage someone to just be more authentic and real and true to who they are, right? More comfortable being their authentic self. So that's I think the greatest thing that we can do. And again, maybe it's not you're not getting caught up with something, an agenda or something coming out of it. But the other thing I want to mention is this is the highest service that you can provide.
Yeah. Yes, it is. Yeah. What part of Canada are you in?
Toronto.
That's
it's like east-ish. Yeah, pretty east. Yeah, just above New York area.
So you're I think you're near Franco Di Nicola. You know Franco?
I'm not sure who that is.
We've done quite a few shows since last summer, probably 10 or 12.
Someone worth connecting with, I imagine.
Oh yeah. He was one of the people that was there at the beginning of Collective Evolution.
Oh wow. Oh, you know what? Collective Evolution is it's nearby me, I think.
That's his son's involved in it. I don't want to get anything wrong with that, but he's over there near you, and he does some workshops, and you'd love him. Yeah, if you go to YouTube and just Google Soulogy Franco, he's probably got, I don't know, probably 8 of the top 20 of the videos we have on YouTube. But he's very good, very interesting, and you're close by, so I thought I'd mention that. Are you planning on going to the States anytime soon?
Yeah, probably. I enjoy the States. I'm thinking there might be a trip in Florida coming up in the near future.
Really? So what month is that?
Nothing's confirmed as of yet, but we're looking at January, February time, early next year.
Well, we're gonna be in Florida for January and probably February. So
no way. I felt as soon as I said it, something was coming, and you're just giving me another sign that that's where I need to be. Yeah. I've been feeling kind of called to spend not just like a little bit of time there, but like get a good
Well, we're going to see what we can start creating over there. We're going to be at a conference. We're going to be doing a conference on the 17th, 18th, and 19th, Siesta Key in Sarasota, Florida. Jennifer Press just put that up. And then some other things are already materializing, and we have a lot of friends there. So I'm this is the year for collaboration and co-creation. I want to see some things happen, so that makes sense. So let me know if and when you're coming.
Well, this conference, you're speaking at it, or?
Yeah, Morgan and I are doing we're doing a keynote address on the Saturday night, and then a workshop on Sunday, and it's about shadow work, sacred sexuality, and sacred union.
And this is an open event, I guess, right?
Yeah, it's a paid event. You have to.
But
it's open.
Shoot me the details.
Yeah, I'll do that. Yeah.
More in person, like you said, collaboration, but
absolutely
interaction.
It starts on a Friday night with a mixer, and then there's Saturday and Sunday, and I'm gonna see to it that we have a Soulogy function get together on Thursday night, the 16th. Nice. Where we do some music and maybe do a little commentary, maybe do a spot like this, and some of the stuff that we've done in the past. But and there is a kind of a late, I don't know what you call it, a special that they're running now, where you buy one for the event, and the second one I think is like $500. So it's like a pretty good discount, pretty steep discount for 2 people. So
shoot me those details, brother.
All right, I'll send them to you. Peace out. Best to you and yours.
Todd, it was an honor, my man. Honestly, it's always such a pleasure connecting with you. I always walk away feeling renewed and refreshed. So I appreciate it, my man. Appreciate everything that you do.
All right, brother. You take care. Best to you and yours.
And quick, I have to say thank you. I've been seeing at the corner of my eye the comments, all the love, all heart emoticons that your audience has been sharing with us. So I do see you guys. Love to all of you. I feel the energy, even though I wasn't really too involved with the comments. It's always amazing to see how many people show up to these things and to feel their presence. It's, again, just an honor.
All right, man. You take care.
Take care, brother.
I'll send you some information.
Cool.
All right. Bye-bye.